Donor reporting tactics. How to choose the most suitable report format for your charity. Check out the different types of report that organizations use to disseminate key activity data to their donors and find out which one may best apply to your charity. Depending on your purpose, audience, and fund type, you can use a specific report format to elicit enthusiasm from various segments of benefactors, regardless of geographic, given behavior, or interest area. Welcome back, folks, to another edition of Sweetie Kiwi. How you doing today? I'm doing fantastic if you were to ask me, and if you are doing as great as I am, go grab a cup of coffee or tea or vodka and let's roll. Today I want to talk to you about donor reporting tactics, how to choose the most suitable report format for your charity. Let's talk first about report types. There are several report types when it comes to charity and charities and philanthropies in the United States and Canada and over the world, I would say. You have an endowment report. Now, an endowment report is an annual report that details the financial performance of an endowed fund over a predefined period, and this is generally 12 months and in some cases 16 months. Now, this may include scholarships, faculty positions, building maintenance funds, programmatic support funds, and many more. Now, what you do here is that for an endowment report, you want to generate for each individual donor or donor household who has established an endowed fund with a charitable gift. So you need to specify, you need to customize a report for that individual donor or donor household. Now, the endowment report includes information on the organization's overall investment performance and the specific performance of each fund with which the donor or donor household is associated. Now, generally, endowment reports will include things like cover letter from the appropriate leadership figure, the overall investment pool performance information, individual fund statements. So I'm talking here about opening balance, market value, gains, losses, if there are some expandable distributions, the fees assessed if applicable, and closing balance and market value. Now we can also talk about annual report, which is another report type. Now, an annual report is rather comprehensive. It's a comprehensive expose on an organization's activities throughout the preceding calendar or fiscal year, right? So an annual report generally is intended to give donors and other interested parties information about the organization's activities and financial performance. This kind of reports can be disseminated in a wide variety of format and via print or electronic mediums. Now, you can really either have an annual report for your donors. You can include the donor listings. If they have given you authorization to reveal their names and addresses, you can even talk about impact statements or stories. Now, annual reports are pretty comprehensive, as I said earlier. So you can have usually you have elements such as general organizational review, operational and financial overview, director's report, corporate governance information, the chairperson statement, auditor's report, and financial statements. Here I'm talking about balance sheet, income statement, statement of changes in equity, cash flow statement. In addition, you also have notes to the financial statements and accounting policies. Now let's talk about a third type of report that's also very critical here, especially in the United States. You have something called impact report. Now, impact report is a generic term that includes a wide variety of reports that are designed to convey the positive impact of charitable gifts on the institutional life, individual beneficiary, or broader operations of an organization. So the content here, the delivery method, the frequency, the audience, the objectives, all of this are depending on the charity's goals for the report. So impact reports can be spread in a wide array of formats and via print or electronic mediums, right? So for example, let's say you want to convey beneficiary testimonies. You can use an impact report. You want to convey a message of gratitude, and you want to include, for instance, financial elements similar to those described earlier, you can use an impact report. The whole idea here is to say to the potential donors, not to the potential, to the real donor here, that you've gone from point A to point B, and point B is significantly better than point A based on the donation, based on the impact that donation has triggered. All right, I'll be right back right after this. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back, folks, to another edition of Sweetie Kiwi. We're also having a conversation today around how to choose the most suitable report format for your charity. So I'm giving you here an overview of the different types of report you find in the philanthropic world and how to choose the one that really fits your particular charity. It is important because if you don't have the right report for your charity or for the reporting goal you are pursuing, you're going to confuse donors. You are going to lose them, right? And that's not what we want. We want you to be able to raise funds, to be able to get the funds you need to pursue your activities. But to do this, you need to communicate, and communication goes through reporting sometimes. The third category, actually the fourth category of report you want to pay attention to, or you might want to use, is something called a scholarship report. Now, a scholarship report is generally an annual report generated to inform a donor of the previous year's activity within their endowed or non-endowed scholarship fund. So, typical elements in a scholarship report include student recipient profiles, beneficiary testimonies. There is something called FERPA compliant biographical data on student recipients. Now, FERPA stands for Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act, and FERPA gives parents certain rights with respect to their children's education records. These rights transfer to the student when he or she reaches the age of 18 or attains a school beyond the high school level. And FERPA is overseen by the U.S. Department of Education. If you want to read more about FERPA, I would just advise you to go to www.ed.gov. That's the official website of the United States Department of Education, and you have all the info that you need there around FERPA. In a scholarship report, you can also find messages and letters of gratitude. You can have financial statements similar to what I've said earlier, and here a balance sheet. This is also known as the statement of financial position. You have income statement, also known as profit and loss statements, the cash flow statement, the statement of changes in equity. Now let's talk about current use report. Now, current use report is another report that a lot of charities use based on the particular goal they're trying to reach. And a current use report is an expose that talks about the financial performance of a non-endowed fund over a predetermined period. Again, here the length of time we're talking about is usually 12 months. So current use fund reporting may cover a variety of topics such as faculty positions, scholarships, building maintenance funds, or programmatic support. Now, current use funds are usually expended during a shorter period of time and generally have a more immediate impact. Therefore, reports should be timely and as frequent as needed. Right? Now, common elements you will find in an impact report, in other words, a current use report rather, include the beneficiary testimonies again. It can be messages of gratitude, the financial statements, or also how what the experts called activities recap. So activities recap will tell you how the whole activities the charity has been focused on, how those activities tie into the whole goals of the organization. Now, let's talk about frequency. Now, in the first section, I was talking to you so far about the report types. Now, let's talk about best practices when it comes to frequency. In most cases, annual, endowment, scholarship, and current use report are generated on an annual basis, right? Now, that frequency can really change. It can fluctuate. It can deviate based on various factors such as the strength of the content, right? So if you want to generate a piece only when there is information and something substantive to share with your audience, whether your organization is in a capital campaign, they need money, it needs money, and the duration of a project, right? So this will govern the frequency, the frequency strategy of your fundraising and reporting. Now, also, when reporting to an individual donor on their comprehensive or lifetime giving, producing a report annually may be too frequent. So if you have an individual, they may not need to hear about their funds uses every year. So you might think about annual delivery, or in some cases even 3 to 5 year cycle. As long as the communication is there, they know you're using the money appropriately, you should be fine. You don't have to report to them every 3 months or every 6 months or every 12 months for that matter. All right, I'll be right back right after this. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back, folks, to another edition of Sweetie Kiwi. I hope you are doing fantastic. We are still having a conversation here around donor reporting tactics, how to choose the most suitable report format for your charity. So I've spoken to you about report types and frequency. Let's talk now about the audience. When it comes to donor reporting tactics, you need to pay attention to the audience also. Now, the donor report audiences can vary widely depending on your specific goals and intended outcomes, right? So in that context, you want to use reporting as a strategic element that educates, motivates, or inspires your audience members. Now, based on the type of report you are generating and your end goal, your audience may vary from 1 to many thousands. It really depends. Okay, so this is really something you want to think about. Now, when generating communications regarding specific funds, you want to basically reach out to that particular donor or donor household. For example, if that donor is no longer living, the organization should take steps to communicate with surviving family members to best determine future reporting needs and recipients. You can do so through a phone call, email, a letter, or even in person. Now, when communicating on funds that have multiple donors, group gifts, or a broad audience definition can be derived from budget constraints. What I'm trying to say here is that you need to strike a good balance between the money you have, your budget, and the needs of the audience in terms of communication. How often do they want to hear from you? What do they want to know about the money? That kind of stuff. And again, to save money, you can use electronic methods, email, website stories, or social media. Number 4, what are the reporting vehicles? There are several ways to deliver donor reports. You can use email report. You can post to website for download. You can post to internal intranet folder for retrieval. You can print paper copy on site. You can print paper copy and mail. Those reports can also be copied to portable media for delivery, or you can do hand delivery by relationship manager or gift officer. Now, for reports that are needed on a regular schedule, it's just best to investigate a delivery queue that you can pre-schedule, or you can even create a master calendar of communications for team-wide reference. One thing you can also do is to make sure you have the proper policies in place when it comes to donor reporting, so that the team members are aware of the regulations when it comes to privacy, for example, for donor privacy, and also the privacy of the beneficiaries. One important area that you also have to pay attention to is, in addition to privacy, is data security and confidentiality, right? Because across the value chain of the reporting process, you want to make sure that the privacy, security, and confidentiality of the key stakeholders, beneficiaries, donors, and team members, that those three, security, privacy, and confidentiality, those three elements are maintained and preserved. Okay, so this is really an important thing, and you have to work with your team members and also your organization's IT department to have that. All right, folks. This was today's conversation around donor reporting tactics, how to choose the most suitable report for your charity. And just kind of quickly recapping things here. I spoke to you about the report types. So those are endowment report, annual report, impact report, scholarship report, and current use report. Spoke about the frequency, the audience, and the reporting vehicles when it comes to donor reporting. Thank you so much for listening to this conversation. I will see you next time. But until then, remember, stay marvelous.